If you've ever wondered what you would get if George R. R. Martin and Percy Jackson had a love child, the answer is Shadowless by Randall McNally. Randall is an Irishman who just came on the podcast and interviewed with me. If you like the podcast, if you like Phantology, or what I'm doing on BookTube, you can find more at www.phantologybooks.com and support on Patreon and all the links below, and like and subscribe to the channel. Shadowless has 20 chapters, all from different points of view. It's a very unique book. It's probably the most unique fantasy book that I've read in some time. So, does it work? It's a bold choice, and it's one that I think works in some different ways and is going to have some unique challenges just because of the structure that it's imposing upon itself. So each chapter, to some extent, is its own story. They slowly start to connect more and more as you get further and further into the book. There are some time skips, there are some breadcrumbs dropped here or there. And I think this is going to appeal to some readers, and to other readers, they're just going to be like, this is too much. So, know what type of reader you are, know what you prefer. Not every book is for everyone, right? Each chapter also follows a different character. So you've got 20 chapters, each one's its own short story. Each one of them has a different main focus character. Then later in the book, some of the characters start to cross over more and more as you get into the overarching plot. Most of the characters are demigods or shadowless beings, and they have different powers, but they're not like superheroes. Randall really wanted me to know in our interview that he was not trying to write a team of superheroes. Some of the characters you get more of, some of them you get less of. Some are stronger, some are weaker in terms of just like how much I enjoyed them. I really connected to some of them. Others just weren't exactly me, or I felt could have been written a little bit stronger. And then there's one character in particular that really brings the story together. Whenever this character is on screen, I got a little more excited because I felt like we were going to get some major plot things happening. And that's generally the case. The setting, I think, is another very strong point, maybe the strongest point in the entire book for me. It includes a map, which Randall spent a ton of time on, and the map is huge. And the chapters, every chapter kind of happens at a different location in the map. So it took me some time, oftentimes, to find the spot on the map where the chapter was happening. I don't know if there's a way to improve that, but that was sometimes a little bit of a struggle for me. But hey, I familiarized myself with the map as I was looking around. So once you get into the chapter, you'll realize that the settings themselves are very diverse. You've got cities, jungle, forest, tundra, mountains, etc. And the cities in particular have some unique aspects to them as well. I found that each individual setting from the different chapters were very inventive. There are some that you see a little bit more often than others, but overall, the world building is a big strength to Shadowless. There's also a lot of cultural components. And I think I would have liked to see a little more diversity in the overall culture from region to region. There is some of it, certainly, but I think there maybe is a little too much of the same culture throughout. And I think I'm just comparing too much to Wheel of Time, possibly, where every country is quite different. There are some similarities, and you get the same here, but it just felt like maybe there was a little bit, there was a little room for some uniqueness to these cultures across this huge map. There's also a big grimdark setting component to the setting, and it kind of creeps up on you. Like at first, at the beginning of the story, it's this younger boy protagonist, and it seems like a coming of age tale, and that it's quickly done away with as you get into different characters. And Randall wanted to make sure that the world had a very realistic, grim feel to it, and he definitely achieves that. So there are some darker themes, so trigger warnings for things like violence, and there are some discussions of rape and sexual violence, not on screen specifically, some darker things, but things that our heroes are fighting against. So the plot is a bit of a slow burn, especially at first. It takes some time to get your bearings and realize what's happening and trust that it will work. I think that is one of the things that going into the book you have to have. You have to trust that all of these different plot lines are going to come together. And it takes a few pages to do that. And with the first author, I can see that some readers may have just some trust issues because they don't have a relationship yet here. But I think once you get into it, there is quite a bit of payoff. This is always kind of an issue with epic fantasy, right? It takes some time to get associated with the world and to realize what it is that you're getting into. I think that's why Stormlight Archive, for example, starts off with an assassin running down a hallway, doing some awesome magic things and fighting. And that's exciting and it gets us right into it. I think that something like that could have been well served here. Shadowless starts off a little bit slower and you have to learn about the world for some time. I do think that the connectedness between the stories is really nice and kind of serves to build up the world. And then when we get to the end, there is a climax. There's a big climax. I think I was maybe hoping for a larger twist at the very end or a little more epic feel to it. That's not to say that that stuff doesn't happen, but maybe I was just hoping for a bit more by the end. There are at least two things that I would classify as twists at the end that I thought were really nice that I was not expecting and had me excited to read more. The prose, with a first work, there's always kind of that caveat of this is the author's first book, right? And they're not as polished. So I think it feels polished for the most part because I know that Randall spent time and money getting this professionally edited. I think there are a few rough patches here or there, but like I said, as you'd expect, I think that always kind of, you have to give a first work that pass, I think, because the prose is an art form, right? And that takes some time. It takes some time to polish your craft there. I think it's high quality enough to not detract at all from the story. And the story itself is compelling and mysterious in that you're trying to figure out what's going on from chapter to chapter, from story to story. So this is unique and exciting, and I don't think the prose takes anything away from that. Okay, final ratings. Characters, I'm going 7 out of 10. There are some that I really liked, some that I didn't care as much for. Overall, a fairly average rating of 7. Setting, 8 out of 10. This was a highlight for me. The only detractor I would say is maybe at times it just felt too big, and it felt like there could have been more room for diversity and cultural world building. The plot, I'm going to say, is 6 out of 10 just because of the slow burn. And then the ending, I just felt like could have been a little bit bigger, a little bit more room for some payoff there. But overall, the choice to make this so spread out and so many different characters and locations, I thought was bold and unique, and I really appreciated it for that. And then the prose, I'm going to say 7 out of 10, another pretty average rating there. Not a big plus, not a detractor, so pretty average. So overall, 7 out of 10, that's a rating that I've been giving out fairly often. It feels like if you're looking for a unique flavor of fantasy with the grimdark feel, a lot of characters, and a mysterious component to it where you're always trying to figure out what is going on in the story, then check out Shadowless. Randall McNally is someone that I'm going to continue to follow, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. If you like Phantology, you can find more at www.phantologybooks.com and support on all of the links below. Please like and subscribe and do all of those good things and support the channel. Thanks for listening and good luck on your next fantasy adventure. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Phantology. If you'd like to let us know your opinions on all things sci-fi and fantasy, join our Discord. Invites are in the episode descriptions below. If you'd like to support the show, like these fine folks here, you can do that at patreon.com/phantology_books. Patrons get early access to new episodes, exclusive postings, and exclusive Discord benefits. But of course, just listening and watching and sharing with your friends and family is support enough. Journey before destination all.